welcome to Richmond School News. We have a few questions for you.
Okay.
Who and what inspired you to write?
You know, I didn't start writing until I was an adult, until I was growing up. I used to write a little bit when I was a child, but then I started to teach, and I started to teach students to write, and I started to write when they wrote. And that's how I first got into it. But I always loved to read. Always loved to read.
Were you ever featured on a show or hired by someone to help write?
I was never, well, I've worked for the museums and I've worked for other organizations writing for them. But I was featured on a couple different shows where they interviewed local authors and they did kind of features on local authors.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still write books?
I do still write books. I'm working on 2 different books right now, but none of them are at the point where they're all finished. So I'm just researching one and I'm writing the other one.
The one you're writing?
Mm-hmm.
What's it called and what will it be about?
You know what? I never give my book a title until the very end. But the one that I'm working on right now is about a disaster that happened off the coast of Vancouver way back in the 1700s. And it was a huge earthquake. And it actually caused a huge volcanic eruption in British Columbia, which triggered way on the other side of the ocean a tsunami in Japan. So it's pretty cool, but it doesn't have a name yet.
Would you give any advice to making stories?
Oh, I teach kids how to write stories all the time, but I think the best advice I could give about stories is to write about something that you'd like to read. So write about something that you love and make sure you're keeping your reader in mind. So you're always thinking about, is this going to keep the reader turning the page? Is this going to keep the reader interested or engaged? Yeah.
Why did you move to Oman?
Oh, that happened a long time ago. We moved to the Middle East from Canada. So my husband got a job in Oman, and we moved with our 3 little girls across, well, really halfway around the world. And it was really fascinating because it was everything that Canada wasn't. So Canada was cold, Oman was super hot. Canada was mountainous, Oman was a desert. Canada had lakes and rivers, Oman had a huge ocean. And it was really fascinating because everything was completely different. And you know what happened while I was there? I missed Canada. And that's when I started to write about Canada. And my first book was actually a hockey book because we didn't even have ice in Oman. And I really missed skating and doing all those Canadian things. So I decided to write about Canada. And that's what made me start writing about Canadian disasters, too.
Okay, what is your favorite book of all time?
Oh, I don't know if I could choose a favorite book of all times. When I think about children's books, probably one of my favorite books as a child, though, that I remember reading over and over and over, and a book that I read to my children, was the Winnie the Pooh books. I loved the Winnie the Pooh books when I was a little girl. And I still love them, actually, today. But I read so many different kinds of things. I read fantasy, I read historical fiction, I read sports, I read contemporary. I love mysteries. I love Sherlock Holmes. When I was a little girl, I loved to read his stuff. I loved to read about him. So I don't know if I could choose a favorite.
Okay. Do you have any advice for our young writers here at Richmond School?
You know, so much of writing is just being persistent. Just keep trying. And it takes a long time to become a good author. And you just have to keep writing and keep paying attention to your words. And I always tell kids that writing is about choices. And if you make strong choices, then you're writing strong. So if you have strong ideas, if you have strong words, if you have strong phrases, if you just keep your writing strong, then, and you just keep trying, keep writing. And not everything you write is going to be great. And not everything I write is great. But every once in a while, you'll write something and you'll think, this is good. And then you just keep rewriting it and working on it until it gets really good.
Okay. Yeah. Again, Cathy Beveridge, thank you so much for your time and all you have done with us. I know I have learned a lot, and hopefully our writing will stay the same.
Awesome. I hope you guys have a great time writing and creating stories, and I hope you get to read some of the stories that the other classes have written, and you get to tell your stories to the younger children too. So it's been a pleasure working with you guys. You have done a great job.
We look forward to your next book and to working with you again.
Thank you.